I saw an interview by the guy who released the Black Book, EpiPen's Black Book, and he talked about how um, this man's daughter went on to become a model as a young child, but all the names that he was naming were men who got in trouble. Casablanca, the dude from Victoria's Secret, and so on and so forth. And that's when I'm like, yeah, for a man who doesn't treat women as anything more than for his pleasure, there's definitely some mommy issues there, but that should not have allowed him to create such pain for his own daughter, and countless of other people's daughters too. But there was this one thing that he said, or that it was said that he said, where he bragged about sleeping with his friends' wives. And on the surface, it felt like, or on the surface, I can see how it would have felt like, oh, these women were loose. And I'm sure maybe one or so were, but he, bragged about going into dressing rooms at Miss Teen USA. You see how he touches or touched his young daughter. One of his victims, he reminded him of his daughter, the one who was 13. I think it was Katie. So we have all these different instances. And you just see how he shakes hands with foreign leaders. How it's always the bully grab. He makes them put their hand on top so he could pull them back. And it made me think about the women, these wives of his friends, his acquaintances. One thing I know about him is he was an outsider. And nobody liked him. Nobody liked him. It's definitely Playboy playground, he did not fit in with them. And I think on one level it was because he was special, probably undiagnosed. I'm not a doctor. There's some characteristics, right? And again, like a childhood playground, they've done studies where children can know within a few seconds whether or not you're like them. It's an instant thing. And some become even friendlier, but a lot pretty much exclude you. This guy, for all his failures, and I strongly suspect also because of the shark his own father was, he was ostracized. And he was a nasty bully himself, from what I understand. And so I just kept thinking about that line about how he would sleep with his friends, wives. And I had seen another interview with one of EpiPen's former girlfriends. She dated him for like 6 months. She actually really liked him. She didn't see inappropriate things, according to her. It was a whirlwind type of thing, whatever. And he was besties at the time with the Orange Menace. And EpiPen brought her to his meeting with the Orange Menace after a few months. And so he brought her there, and he's talking to the Orange Menace, and the Orange Menace gets grabby with her. And she said in her mind, because I think she was 31 at the time, she said in her mind, she's like, is this what you brought me here for? And so she went into fawn or freeze or whichever one of those things as grabby man. And it was so psychologically discombobulating for her because her boyfriend, EpiPen, was still having a conversation with the Menace as if he wasn't being grabby hands. And then when they left, EpiPen actually railed on her for allowing the menace to be so grabby. So it was like a test for her. Like, he waited months to bring her to him, you know, I guess to test her and see if maybe they had a bet. They probably had a bet, now that I'm thinking about it. They probably had a bet. Because you know what he likes to say? They let me do it, right? It's literally in quotes. So again, thinking about these wives, all of a sudden unlocked a memory for me, a traumatic memory for me. Because I had been in a situation, a couple of them, but one in particular at work, where I was on the phone and someone got really grabby with me. And I think in a romance movie, maybe that would have been cute. Like, he just planted one on me. But in that moment, I felt violated. And I didn't do anything about it. And so all of a sudden I realized he did that to most of those wives. And I wonder if those wives were too ashamed to tell their husbands. And if any of them did, what happened? This man is a monster. I was gonna say, I hope he doesn't leave this earth without knowing that everyone finally sees who he is. Because I think that's what keeps him smug, is that he has this group of people who will disbelieve anything negative against him. But how would it feel for him to be standing there watching people in red call him a monster? But on the other hand, I'd rather this monster got put to rest. However that happens. Expeditiously. And no, that wasn't a threat or a promise. My nose is too sensitive to come near him.